So I'm having garlic toast with 3 different kinds of tomatoes on it, and hot lemon and honey. And I guess I'm going to talk about this as well. I didn't watch much of it. I was reading and doing whatever, but James was watching it and he quite enjoyed it. So this is Manhattan season 1, and it's about the Manhattan Project, if you figure that out. James is having hot rhubarb and honey, which isn't really hot. I mean, I don't make it that way. So I dissolve the honey in hot water and then I add the juice. So, as you can see, my breakfast is not particularly healthy today. I've already gotten quite a lot done this morning. I feel pretty good about it. Wow, this is delicious. I love hot lemon and honey. Or warm. Now, this show, one thing I can say for it is you really get a feeling that like they have the costumes and everything right down, so you get a feeling that you're in that time. And they also give you the feeling that they're in your time. So if I don't know if you understand what I'm trying to say. Now could be then could be now, and yeah. So it's good. It's interesting, and I think they did a good job with it. I mean, it's kind of boring. You imagine the life of scientists would be, and so it seems real and realistic and believable. Mosquito. You know, it's funny. It was breezy even when the fireworks were going for Canada Day. They do here in Lethbridge. They do this stupid thing where they have the fireworks at the end of Canada Day. So it's like 11 o'clock at night or whatever, they start blasting these things off. And then people go to work in the morning feeling really run down and everything because they've been up until midnight or 12:30 or 1, or who knows, and they're stupid. I remember the only time I saw fireworks in Grand Prairie, because I am an early bird, so I don't catch such things. I sometimes wake up to boom, 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 and I'm like, go back to sleep. But, so anyway, the only time I caught fireworks in Grand Prairie, they did it just like at midnight on Canada Day. So it was just at the beginning of the holiday, which makes sense. That's when it should be done. Because then, if you're a family person, you want to partake in the day's activities of whatever, face painting and who cares, family people do, then yeah, you go for that. And if you're a midnight fireworks sort of person, boom, boom, well, you have all day to sleep it off. And then you're fresh on the next morning, July 2nd. It's back to work. So, I think it shows something about how things actually work in Grand Prairie as opposed to Lethbridge. They have the fireworks and the end of Canada Day, boom, boom, back to work on the next day. But no, the fireworks are not for the people who go to work on the next day. Not at all. Some people might be punching a clock, but they wouldn't actually have to punch it. They'd just stroll in whenever they felt like it, because that's what they do every day. And they get away with it. Whereas Grand Prairie, that's a resource town. That's a working city. So boom, boom is going to happen at the beginning of Canada Day at midnight on July the 1st. Not at 11 o'clock to midnight on July the 1st. But having enjoyed the show, as I went this year with James, because I was going to bed. I tried to stay up with him, and so I tried to stay up, and I'm watching TV, probably that, and maybe some dog training, because I've been doing that lately too. So I'm watching TV, trying to stay up, and finally I'm like, nope, can't do it, and I go to bed, and then he follows me to cuddle in bed. I cannot sleep, so I say, okay, well, we're getting up. We're going to go watch the fireworks. Because usually what he does is he'll take Paris. They'll go watch the fireworks together. And Paris watches the fireworks. But he says she doesn't really care to. She doesn't know why they watch the fireworks. And going with them this time, no, she doesn't. She doesn't know why we're standing around looking at, well, me sitting. Because there's no way I can stand. So, looking at boom, boom. And it's beautiful. I mean, it's like James is saying, like flowers opening. And yeah, it's pretty fantastic. It's just that I'm not awake at that time. So I have to watch actual flowers opening during the day. Because I cannot see the fireworks. It's too late for me. So yesterday I was just a zombie, just wrecked. Because I can't, I didn't get enough sleep. And anyway. But I did like, my favorites were the ones that go golden and blue at the ends. Golden and blue. It's beautiful. And what other ones did I like? Oh, I liked the gold ones that were gold. Like that. They had some staying power, and I appreciated that. So, those were the ones I liked. Nice. But it was nice to see them all. And it was nice to spend time with James. Every once in a while, when the fireworks would die down for a moment, I'd look up at the stars, and think, why boom boom? Stars every night, I don't need boom boom. If I were up at night, I'd just be looking at the stars all quiet. Maybe laying on some grass before the dew hits it. Looking at the stars. Quiet. No boom boom. I'm not a boom boom kind of person. Anyway.
How's it going?
Fine. Did you want to say anything about Manhattan?
Manhattan, it's one of my favorites. I'm sure it's a cable TV thing. One of my favorite cable shows. You probably find it a little less appealing. You like it okay?
It's okay.
Yeah. So it seems to be semi-historical, maybe fairly historically based. So, and it's, I think it probably portrays what happened in the Manhattan Project quite well. You explained the basic idea behind it, right? Not really?
I don't know, sort of.
Yeah, there we go.
I don't know. Did I need to?
Well, I don't know. Yeah, it depends on whether a person's seen it or not. Boy, oh boy, we're turning into...
I know. You attract mosquitoes like crazy.
Oh, I do. Yeah, they like me.
You come out and they just, like, I had one of them bother me before you came out this whole time, and I'm not even dressed properly. I don't know. It must be all the lemon I drink.
Yeah.
They go, what's your blood?
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Well, one's going for your knee, though.
Oh, look at her. Yep. Her.
They are hers.
All her. The men come out first when they hatch in standing pools of water, which I don't know where they're hatching from.
Well, there's lots of pools of water. There have been.
Oh, from
So-
the rain.
Sure, of course. It's just
Okay.
like every day almost there's a pool of water left
Oh.
over. And then there'd be a few from people overwatering,
I haven't noticed. Anyway.
The city, for example, overwaters
Oh yeah.
in many cases.
And then
They're
it's stuck
very
in the
efficient.
gutters because
Of course.
the leaves are all there, and yeah.
Yeah. So,
Anyway, yeah, that's probably
especially
what's
since the city got the automatic watering systems, it just overwater.
happening. Oh, of course.
On the roads.
Yeah.
They're not adjustable.
No, that's very smart because
when-
now we're going to have standing pools of water
Mhm.
in an area where West Nile virus
Yeah.
works out.
So, I had a form. I'm not going to say it
population
is.
control,
it is,
right?
it's,
I mean, old
yeah.
people are just going to be
Yeah.
out of there.
Yeah. So,
So
I
what
had
a
a
great
foreman
idea!
who-
Move to the city so you can get West Nile virus
Hmm.
in your old age and
Yeah. So I had a foreman
Kerplunk. Sorry.
who used to work in parks, and when he was young, he used to do irrigation, and they used to do in the parks. They used to have,
Pipe sets?
and he believed that actually involved fewer people because there's so many irrigation parts getting blown out. They have to come up and dig things up and stuff like that. And of course, he knew that it involved less water. Because when you got a Chinook, it's going to not change that much during the course of the night. Nights tend not to be that windy anyway, right?
Except on Canada Day evening, we still had a little bit of a breeze, and so we didn't hear we went out to the schoolyard to listen to the fireworks, which were not. James was saying, usually when this goes off, you hear the roar of the people, ah!
Sure, yeah.
But we didn't, because the breeze.
Well, there is some breeze, right?
Yeah.
And that was a northwest flow.
Yeah.
And when a northwest flow comes in, sometimes, like when it first comes in, it blows with a little bit of authority. And you're going to lose some stuff there. But you set up for a northwest flow. And that's what happened that night, right?
Yeah.
It's a northwest flow. So you'd lose a whole lot less water and a whole lot less water standing in gutters. So a whole lot less threat of West Nile.
Yeah.
Back. But, Bruce Cockburn saying in the 80s, the trouble with normal is it always gets worse. So that's a new norm, which is the automatic sprinkler sets, right?
Yeah.
And it's worse. So,
Mhm.
really, same number of people because they get so many blowouts.
Mhm.
Yeah. You're
And
digging them
well,
up and
James's
repairing
brother was telling James that they've now they now recognize that they have Lyme disease in Edmonton, in the area.
way up there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I said to James, well, they've had it for a long time. But the thing is I spent my youth in a resource town, and all along the river bottom there'd be all the people sleeping, and because they'd go up there for work. They'd come all the way from out east and
Where
track
there
across
definitely is
where there's
Lyme
definitely
disease.
Lyme disease, and their sleeping bags, whatever, they'd pack everything all the way over, hitchhike, whatever, and they'd get to the river bottom in Grand Prairie and they'd camp out
They'd
there.
shake this stuff out.
Well, it's just all going to spread.
Mm.
So, I mean, if the winters are cold enough, the little ticks can't survive there, but you're still going to have them all summer long.
All summer long.
So they're there,
Mm.
and you're not recognizing Lyme disease when the symptoms show up.
Yeah, so how far
goes-
do ticks travel? We did a little unintended
Yeah.
experiment.
But they could travel all the way around the world because
They could travel all
hitchhike
the way
on-
to the moon. Okay,
They could hitchhike on
because
those
we
planes.
had we were in Riding Mountain National Park in Manitoba. It's just across the border in Manitoba, but still, there was one whole province in between, and we pulled off several of them while we were there, like every night.
And I mean, I thought I got them all because I was really searching, and
Of
these
course.
weren't the little ones. These
These are
weren't
the
the Lyme
regular ones.
disease ticks. These were the bigger ones, right? So they're not as hard to see.
And they got in the dogs. A little harder to see in the dogs.
Little harder,
It's
but
easy
they
to
have short
see
hair.
on me because I don't have much hair. It's but it's not like the
No.
worst is like in the nape and stuff like
Sure.
that when someone's actually got hair. And So we got back, and I don't like, but I have to. I like to vacuum out the car before we go and after we go, right? And I thought it was particularly important because I knew we kept on pulling the ticks off, you know.
Well,
And
I documented it.
so
you can
I'm
look back.
always burned out after a trip, and it usually takes me the week to recover.
Sure.
But I went after. It was 4 days minimum, and that's accent on each one of those syllables. Not minimum, it's minimum, okay? And the especially strong accent on the last syllable, minimum. Just in case there's some crazy doctor, crazy cynical, not skeptical scientist. I mean, the thing is, if you're skeptical, do your own freaking experiment, and go someplace like that and gather up some ticks and put them in a jar or something like that, you know, or let them ride on you or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's good to be skeptical but not cynical. Do the experiment and do the math. So this was after minimum 4 days. There was one crawling around in the what do you call that? The door pocket or something like that?
Sure.
Pocket
Call
of the
it
door.
that.
Just as large as life. If you put it on you, he would have just latched on and, you know, like
Yeah, he
sucked your blood
wasn't
for all it's
suffering at
worth.
all. He
Yeah,
was
he
happy
would've
as can be.
vampired you like crazy. And if he's carrying Lyme disease, one of the big ones, I gather they generally don't carry Lyme disease, if at all. But little one would probably be almost as robust, as resilient, maybe more so, maybe a little bit less. But here's the deal. That dude survived 4 days. Now, it was only a matter of maybe 1,000 kilometers or something like that. But you see, it's not an issue of how far he went. It's how long he lasted. How far can you go in 4 days? Well, if he was in some airport, in some luggage on a airliner, he could go around the world. And frankly, if he somehow latched onto an astronaut or into his jockey shorts or something like that, he could have made it. I think you could almost make it to the moon in 4 days. You know
I don't know. We're going to have to look at it. We'll write a book.
I think they were able to do it. He could make it half part of the way to the moon. So, you know, are you listening, you crazy researchers out there that are so cynical about Lyme disease?